From terrible truckers to bad bus drivers, you'd better buckle up because this ride is about to get bumpy. Rubicon Bob was not driving his Jeep Rubicon when a truck driver failed to yield to his GMC Yukon. With a concrete barrier on his right, Rubicon Bob had nowhere to go to avoid getting clipped by the semi as it rolled through a yield sign without slowing down. He pulled over just down the road and called the police. When officers arrived, the trucker told them Rubicon Bob had shot past her in the turn and was trying to squeeze in front of her. She repeated that story to Rubicon Bob's insurance provider as well as her own. Once he showed his dashcam footage to both insurance companies, they agreed that the trucker was responsible. He told us he'd put 327,000 miles on his GMC Yukon over 16 years and it was in pristine condition prior to this collision. Sadly, this incident totaled his prized SUV as repairing it would have cost more than the vehicle was worth. He told us he's an insurance agent and he strongly recommends that all drivers invest in dash cams. Brighton's wife Emily was driving with their 2 children in the back seat when their Hyundai Elantra was suddenly T-boned by a city bus. Emily tried to swerve out of the path of the bus, but it still collided with her car, spinning it completely around. Police and paramedics both responded to the scene, but thankfully, the only injuries sustained were minor. When the bus driver spoke to Emily, he claimed his own light had been green, but when the police questioned him, he changed his story and said he'd been making a right on red. Brighton wanted to shout out Emily for keeping her composure while making sure that everyone was okay. In the end, the insurance company totaled their Elantra, settling for $4,000 more than they'd paid for it. Brighton told us they love our videos and watch them together as a couple, and he also mentioned this footage was captured by the dashcam we recommend in the video description. Chowhound was driving down an interstate highway when a silver Honda Accord sped past him, and he estimates it was exceeding the speed limit by 10 to 15 miles per hour. He also told us this section of the interstate has a nickname among the locals, the $1 Million Mile. Before long, that Honda driver would be finding out why. Chowhound said this section of highway is notorious for local sheriff's deputies running speed traps. And that day, an unmarked Dodge Durango pulled over the silver Honda and gave the driver some instant justice. Chowhound also told us he laughed as he drove by and thought, I finally have a wham bam moment. If you have dashcam footage to share, you'll find our submission link in the video description. Speedy 2 had only driven a few blocks after leaving home when an oncoming car lost control before smashing into his Mazda CX-5. Speedy 2 managed to maintain control after the impact, avoiding a power pole and a mailbox before coming to a stop. He did tell us he hit a tree, but that impact isn't visible in his dashcam footage. Thankfully, when Speedy 2 went to check on the occupants of the silver car, he found that none had been hurt. He told us the car was undrivable and had to be towed away, while he was able to drive his Mazda back home. He's now waiting to hear back from his insurance provider regarding repairs, but he knows there's damage to the suspension as well as the body after the impact with his wheel, fender, and bumper cover. Remember last week when we told you about our fan Brandon who dumped a bunch of submissions on us at once? We've got more of his dashcam footage in this episode, and this first one is a bit shocking.
Holy what the
As Brandon was taking a highway interchange, he encountered a Volkswagen coming the wrong way. He slammed on the brakes and the horn at the same time, narrowly avoiding a head-on collision. Thankfully, this was only a close call, but Brandon told us the VW driver seemed oblivious to what was going on. Good save, Brandon. We'll be back with another one of his submissions a little later. Ian was driving through a parking lot when a Kia blazed past a stop line, nearly slamming into his Mazda MX-5 before screeching to a halt. Ian told us he probably would have had a fun trip to the hospital if not for the Kia's automatic emergency braking. The other driver was very apologetic, but thankfully they couldn't find any damage to either vehicle. This submitter was driving down a Utah highway when a car sped past him before losing control and slamming into a pickup truck. If we play that back, it looks like the driver locked up their brakes after a semi-truck began merging into the passing lane. After the impact with the pickup, the car collided with the median barrier before stopping. Our submitter told us it didn't look like anyone was seriously injured as the involved drivers were out and walking around. He waited for the police to arrive and provided them with a copy of his dashcam footage. He also asked us to come up with a different song to use for the Tesla Behaving Badly segment, as the one we use now gets stuck in his head and drives him crazy. What do you think? Should we make a new jingle? Let us know what you think in the comments, and more importantly, help us brainstorm what song we should use instead. For today, we'll have to stick with the current one. Sorry, anonymous submitter. Dennis discovered firsthand how this driver ended up on the wrong side of a road in Sweden. Thankfully, the driver of the red Volvo didn't collide with any other vehicles before eventually realizing his mistake and driving over the median island to get back on the correct side of the road. Dennis told us he just continued home since nothing else happened, but he wanted to remind our viewers to keep an eye out so you don't end up in the wrong lane. Louis was driving his BMW 330i when he noticed traffic backing up on the road ahead. The driver of a van also noticed and pulled off the road to avoid a rear-end collision, but the driver behind them didn't manage to react in time. After the SUV rear-ended another, it shoved it forward and into the back of a minivan, making this a 3-vehicle collision. Thankfully, it doesn't look like anyone was seriously injured. Louis told us his girlfriend Zimra isn't a Wham Bam fan yet, but he's hoping that she'll become one if we give her a shout out. If you're a fan, help us reach 500,000 subscribers, and let's keep rolling. Alex was preparing to make a protected left turn when he watched an oncoming dump truck run the light to make an illegal turn, followed by a bus that proceeded straight through the red light. Alex clarified that neither driver should have proceeded, as traffic in that lane is only allowed to go straight and their light was red the entire time. Thankfully, other drivers dodged the black bus and no collisions occurred. Michael was on his way to see a movie when he watched an oncoming minivan rear-end a Toyota driver waiting to make a left turn, sending it hurtling toward him. Michael managed to dodge around the Toyota, avoiding a collision. He told us this was the first collision he's captured since getting a dash cam. We're honored he decided to send it to us. Eric was on his way home from buying groceries when he spotted a Tesla behaving badly, and I'm really sorry, but you're gonna have to listen to the old jingle one more time.
That Tesla man can't drive. That Tesla man can't drive.
The Tesla driver was driving down the wrong side of a divided road. Eric thinks maybe they turned the wrong way out of a parking lot, and instead of turning around, they just kept going. After waiting patiently for his traffic light to turn green, Anthony was making a left turn when the driver of a van from his right wasn't quite as patient.
Oh! What the f***?
The van driver ran his red light, sideswiping Anthony's Lexus as he made his left turn. Both drivers pulled over, but Anthony told us the van driver immediately accused him of running a red light. Anthony informed him he had a dash cam and he asked to see the footage, but Anthony was afraid he might try to delete it, so he refused his request. When the police arrived, Anthony showed them his dash cam footage instead. When they confronted the van driver with the facts, Anthony said he changed his story and claimed that both lights had been green at the same time. That's also when it was discovered that the van driver was uninsured. The van also had a temporary license plate that had expired months prior. Anthony is now using his own uninsured motorist coverage to fix his Lexus, and he said it will take just shy of $10,000 to complete the repairs. Anthony also told us he's sent videos to Wham Bam Security Cam, but he never expected to have dashcam footage to send us. We'll put a link to a Security Cam episode featuring one of his submissions at the end of this video. Here's another video from Brandon. While waiting at a traffic light with his daughter, they spotted a random hubcap just rolling down the street. After watching it sit in the intersection for a while, it seemed like nobody was going to hit it, until... there it is! A passing pickup clipped the hubcap just enough to send it a few more feet down the road. Thankfully, nobody else hit it by the time Brandon's light turned green and he continued on his way. Benjamin was driving behind a truck transporting vehicles, and the one on top of the trailer was a pickup truck that used to have a canopy. You're about to witness the moment that canopy was removed.
Oh, it hit the bridge! It hit the bridge!
As the vehicle transporter passed under an overpass, the canopy caught on the underside and was ripped off the pickup truck and left in pieces all over the road. Benjamin sped up to alert the truck driver. The driver of a Dodge Challenger was already doing that, however. It looks like the Challenger had been struck by some of the canopy debris, and both the trucker and the Challenger driver pulled over as Benjamin continued. Hira had his own road debris encounter when a garden rake suddenly appeared, flying through the air before landing in the middle of the highway. A Chevy Bolt ran over the rake, but Hira said he didn't see it pull over, so it probably wasn't affected. It's hard to tell where the rake came from, but Hira thinks the Dodge Challenger in the carpool lane launched it into the air. Hira is another repeat submitter, and his video we featured in a previous episode showcased his 4-channel dashcam setup. We'll put a link to that episode at the end of this one, just in case you haven't seen it. Bradley was driving down a highway when he watched an SUV lose control on a wet on-ramp and take a tumble down a hill. Bradley told us the roads were slightly wet at the time, but not icy. He thinks the SUV driver was either going too fast around the curve of the ramp, or they might have been driving on bald tires. Since he was on the other side of the highway and separated by a steep median, he wasn't able to stop and help the SUV driver. But he did tell us multiple other drivers stopped to render aid. Hopefully nobody was seriously hurt. Bradley also thanked us for providing narration in our videos, and he told us it's one of the reasons why Wham Bam Dashcam is his favorite dashcam channel. Thanks, Bradley. You're our favorite Mini Cooper driver. Nicholas watched the driver of a white car give it a little too much gas in the rain before losing control and colliding with a retaining wall. Nicholas immediately pulled over to see if the driver needed help, but by the time he had gotten to them, they were already driving away. He told us he wasn't able to find out if they'd been injured. He also wanted to give our viewers a warning. If you have a rear-wheel drive car, even one with traction control, it will always seek out a crowd. Be careful out there, everyone. Jim was driving his Dodge Ram 2500 through an area experiencing a power outage when he watched an SUV driver blow through an intersection before getting T-boned by a van driver who'd barely slowed down.
Whoa!
We all know what to do when traffic signals aren't working, right? Drivers should treat the intersection like a four-way stop, coming to a complete stop and taking turns through the intersection, even if there's no other traffic. Neither driver involved in this case followed that rule, and the result was a violent collision that somehow didn't result in any injuries. Jim provided his dashcam footage to the local police for their collision investigation report. This submitter was with his mother and sister running errands when they spotted a pirate ship driving around. As they finished up some shopping, they went to fuel up, only to discover the pirate ship was also at the gas station. Our submitter said the ship's driver, captain, told him it has its own headlights, taillights, and turn signals. We have no idea if it's actually road legal, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Don't forget to watch Anthony's submission on Wham Bam Security Cam when two guys tried to rob his neighbor at gunpoint. Or check out Hyra's previous submission when he got Honda bumped. If you've got dashcam footage to share, send it in using the link in the description.
Wham, bam, we got a Patreon, man. Please support the show.